Hello, everyone. Welcome to Creatio's Accelerates Global Online event this year. We're so happy that you could join the Creatio team for this unique 24-hour live stream event, which will be hosted in 7 different languages. We're pleased to present to you our major update of Creatio version 7.17, which is our most recent product release. So today we plan to talk to our global audience about our product enhancements that are now available on Creatio's platform. My name is Creatio, and I'm a Communications and Analyst Relations Manager at Creatio. I'm joined by 3 of my colleagues as we walk through these exciting updates today. I'm joined by Alex Petronenko, our Product Evangelist, Mike Uden, our Head of Engineering, and Kirill Krylov, our Technical Trainer. I'm joined by a great team, and we're really excited to talk about all of these exciting enhancements on Creatio's platform. So say hello, gentlemen, to our global audience.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Great, thank you. So before we dive into our exciting enhancements today, we just want to restate our value proposition because we think it's very important for us to emphasize as we walk through our enhancements. We believe that we've created a world where everyone can automate business ideas within minutes. And our mission during Accelerate Global is to inform businesses that they can become low-code companies and automate processes using Creatio's platform. So our primary focus of this session today will be our new enhancements that enable users to do that. As stated, Creatio is a low-code platform for process management and CRM. It's a new way of looking at how technology can become a competitive advantage. Our platform blends together robust BPM, intuitive low-code development tools, and a best-in-class CRM on a single integrated platform. The advantages offered by our platform have enabled us to attain stellar analyst and user recognition across each of our products. We're highly recognized by key industry analysts and users, such as analysts from Gartner. We're recognized in 5 Gartner Magic Quadrants, 2 of which we are a leader in. We are a leader in the Magic Quadrant for CRM lead management and a leader in the Magic Quadrant for Salesforce automation. We've also been recognized in the Magic Quadrant for enterprise low-code application platforms, CRM customer engagement center, and intelligent business process management suites. We look forward to growing this excellent analyst recognition as we move forward. We're also recognized by Forrester in 7 Forrester waves, of which we are a strong performer in. We're very proud of this Forrester recognition that we've achieved as an organization and look forward to growing our recognition. We've also highlighted here several awards that we've accomplished as a team from highly reputable sources that really emphasize our strong user recognition across reputable sources such as G2, Capterra, Gartner Peer Insights, and more. And now we want to discuss some of the specific enhancements that will emphasize the user experience and accelerate digital transformation in organizations. We mentioned our value proposition earlier, but it's important for us to also acknowledge our core differentiators, otherwise referred to as our Creatio superpowers. These are our BPM engine to change processes faster, our low-code platform to make everyone a developer, and our unified CRM that aligns sales, service, and marketing. We look forward to discussing the enhancements across each of these Creatio superpowers today. And our first superpower that we'll be honing in on is our BPM engine to change processes faster. This BPM engine is a key enhancement to streamline the full cycle of process management and execution through all Creatio products. I'm going to hand off to my colleague Alex Petronenko now so he can discuss the 7.17 enhancements in greater detail today. Alex?
Hi, Curry. Thank you for passing the floor. And guys, I'm very excited to be your guide into the newest updates and release points for version 7.17. As you know, BPM and DCM functionality is the backbone, is the jewel in the crown of Creatio's functionality. And with every release, with every update, our team is focusing on bringing more automation and bringing more functionality and improvements to the user interface, to the user experience, and the design experience of those. And I would like to start with the fact that dynamic case management, or DCM, is one of the frameworks for automation that we follow. And I'm happy to announce that within version 7.17, we have now released the versioning capability for dynamic cases that are being designed on top of our platform. So regardless of the system, regardless of the area of the application where this is being used, either this is one of the out-of-the-box modules or whether this is one of the custom builds to business applications, all of those will uniformly support case versioning and will provide greater value, will provide greater flexibility to designing these cases across our platform. And moving over to the next area, of course, as part of the updates to the business process management engine, our team has been working hard on releasing additional features, such as support for multi-instance sub-processes and support for record collection processing as part of the business process design, together with multiple user experience improvements, together with multiple smaller things that greatly improve the whole experience of the user working on the design. Whether this is the citizen developer who's embracing all of the areas of the low-code environment for system configuration, whether this is a system administrator or just a business analyst working with the design of both DCMs and BPM. And without further ado,
this looks like an exciting update. What have you been seeing that this has been most beneficial for our users?
Well, I would say that this is most beneficial for those organizations that are going to be processing a large number or large collection of data within their processes, right? Relying on business processes for data maintenance, relying on business processes for system integration, and overall everything that needs to cover a large number of records, right? So previously this was possible. It was requiring some additional configuration of the processes. Now it's a lot more seamless. It's a lot easier and really done within just a few steps in the process.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it is actually, and I'm very happy to finally announce this feature on the release on 7.17. And actually now, without further ado, I would like to move to the live demo and actually show our audience how exactly these new features are going to look like, how exactly they're being rolled out. So what we see on the screens right now is one of the opportunity records that we have. As you know, the opportunities and the sales module has been built on top of our local platform for system design, right? And this is actually where we can as well see the DCM for the opportunity lifecycle. This is where we can see all of the stages used in the opportunity DCM. And I would like to remind you guys that, of course, this is exactly how we're configuring the DCMs. This is where we can go through all of the stage definitions and all of the task definitions that should be completed by the end users. And the idea here is that now if we are adding any new stages or actually reposition some of those steps within already existing stages, whenever the system administrator, business analyst, or citizen developer wants to save it, he can actually automatically save it as a new version, right? Just by manual call to action, or when saving the changes to the structure of this DCM, because there have been some critical updates, the system will force the user to make a decision if they want to actually save it as a new version or if they want to save it as a current version. And depending on the decision, the system will either create a new version and only the newly initiated instances of the DCM will follow the new structure, or we can just override it with the current version. And of course, this is going to bring a lot of flexibility. It's going to bring more structure towards those cases that are going to be now designed on top of Creatio, allowing us to actually revert back easily between previously available cases and previously available versions. And now let's continue to the next part of our release updates, where we're talking about BPM. Obviously, we all remember that within our process library, we've got all of the business processes that can be designed on top of Creatio. And now within the design of the business processes, whether we're going to get a large number of collection of records within the system with our read data elements, whether this is going to be something that we're going to be processing within a web service call and integrating Creatio with a third-party system with bulk data being exchanged, within the global parameters of the process, we now will have the option to actually create a collection of data and create nested parameters, where the mapping of those parameters towards the data received within the execution of the process, whether through standard means or through web service call execution, is going to be native, is going to be as intuitive as just mapping those parameters through a normal process execution. And again, this is going to bring more flexibility. This is going to significantly simplify the whole process of integrating the data and processing it within the business processes of Creatio and make the life of our users even better, simpler, and more exciting. Okay, correct. At this point, let's probably get back to the slides and see if we've got any questions from the audience, because I know that all of our users, all of our customers, they do love our business process management engine, and they're always waiting for updates and new functionality being rolled out by our team.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex, for that great demo. We do have some questions from the audience, and our first question is, Will there be an option to choose a version or an arbitrary version for a particular record in DCM?
Sure. So the idea here, if depending on how the new version of the DCM is being saved, right? If we're saving as a new version, whenever a user is going to launch the DCM, it's going to follow the new structure. If we're overriding, it's going to continue all of the currently running versions of the DCM towards the new version, right? So in this case, the users don't need to make a decision on which version they want to run it. This is going to be purely dependent on the configuration by the citizen developer or system administrator.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alex. And our next question is, it seems that DCM and BPM have common and overlapping functions. When do you recommend using DCM over BPM and vice versa?
Great question. So classically, DCM is usually used for those types of processes where we don't have a very clear definition of steps, we don't have a clear definition of sequence of those steps, or any transitioning between them as business rules, right? And BPM, on contrary, is usually used when we have a very highly regulated environment where we have a very clear definition of how the user and the system should be executing certain steps. So, of course, DCM has some base conditional transitions between actions, between stages, right? But I would apply DCM to more agile, fluid processes, or even to those processes where the organization hasn't clearly defined the sequence of steps. Because converting a DCM or embedding a BPM into a DCM execution is quite simple, it's quite easy, right? And you can always evolve a DCM into BPM.
Excellent. Thank you so much for answering these questions, Alex.
My pleasure.
Let's proceed.
Yeah, and at this point, I would like to introduce the next topic of our release update. And would actually like to start talking about a local platform, right? Where I would like to remind our audience about what is a local platform, how do we see it, and what is the functionality behind it. Okay, perfect. Well, as you guys remember, in Creatio, we have really identified the 4 key pillars of a local platform, depending on the type of the functionality that it is covering, right? And the 4 pillars are process modeling and documentation. This is where we are including our process library and our Studio Free product, our administration tools, everything that allows us to manage and to configure the application from the access perspective. Of course, the application lifecycle management and environment control functionality, and of course, the application design tools that help us to build the application from scratch. So everything starting with the data model, with the user interface definition, with the configuration of the integrations, and other smaller pieces and areas of functionality. And of course, our teams that are covering the application design tools and the rest of our local platform really focus on delivering the cutting edge technology, the technology that is easiest to use and that is most flexible for our customers and for our partners. And at this point, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Mike Udin, Head of Engineering, who's going to talk about those updates to our local platform towards the functionality that allows us to accelerate time to market and time to value. Mike, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex. And let me start with the studio updates and on what we have new in UI customizations and business logic. So very often for more convenient data management, there is a need to create sections based on existing objects, such as details or lookups. So that's why we have added ability to create sections based on existing object. So for example, now you have a payments detail or elements of organizational structure. So you can easily convert these into a section, and you will be able to set up access rights, use advanced filtration, tags, and etc. So, and now using our local tools, you can copy and edit page and reuse existing business logic and page layout. And users, basically users no longer need to create page from scratch, and thus they can achieve better time to value. All right, and in interface designers, we have extended our low-code tools, and users can configure various properties of fields on the edit page, customize data formatting and accuracy of numeric fields. And if you are developing in several localizations, now you can immediately translate the interface into multiple different languages. And we've added all these most popular field settings into the properties model box, which will greatly speed up the configuration because users no longer need to switch between interfaces. So, and these are all easy to use tools available for all non-tech users.
Which answers my question, Mike. I was going to ask about what technical skills needed to be used before using these interface designer enhancements, but thank you for elaborating on that.
Yeah. So when setting up business rules, it became possible to control visibility of tabs, details, field groups, and any individual modules. So for instance, you can display a group of fields with additional data depending on the role of the users who navigates the page. And also one can set up a business rule to populate a certain field on a page with a value from another field or a static value. So for example, you can set up a rule so that when a contact is added to the case, the email and phone field value of this contact will automatically be populated to the case record. Also, you can create a business rule to fill in a column value based on a mathematical formula. And with these powerful low-code tools, much more configurations can be made by a citizen developer without writing a single line of code. All right, and now let's jump to a live demo, and I'll show you all these new great enhancements that we have over section wizards. Okay, so if you feel like existing lookup or detail capabilities is not enough for you, you can create a section based on existing object. So all you need to do is just to go to a section wizard and click on select existing object, and you'll receive the list of all existing objects in the system. So then you should search for a particular object that you need, and that's about it. So after that, a system will automatically create a section for you, and you'll be able to customize it using all our available low-code tools. And another great enhancement is the ability to copy a page and create multiple pages for a section. So I think you often come across when you need to create multiple sections pages, and now it is much easier because you can right away from a section wizard, you can copy existing page and copy all its UI and a logic, and then create a new one. So for instance, now I'm in a contact section and I can go and I have only one page out of the box. So I can simply go and copy existing one and create new one for, let's say, employees, and then go and customize it. So users no longer need to build a page from scratch, and we can simply copy existing one and then use all low-code capabilities to change how page looks and apply some business logic. Okay, now let's jump to interface designer. And the first great enhancements here is if you're developing in several localizations, you can immediately translate all the captions and all localizable strings right away from designer and apply this translation to an all existing localization in the system. So you do not need to use out-of-the-box translation tool, and you don't need to switch to any interfaces. You can apply translations right away here from a section wizard. And another great enhancement here is the ability to change data format. So for instance, for a field of type date, for a birth date, let's say, I can change it to display either as a date time or as a time or only as a date. And in the very same manner, I can apply and change data format for numeric fields and change numeric fields precision.
Wow. So, Mike, it looks like now we're really adding more use cases that can be covered by citizen development rather than, classic kind of administration of the database, really to the hands of the users that have the access to the section wizard, right? And based on what I know, there are a lot of use cases when we might need to create a page for a section from scratch as a second one, if it has to be very different. In a lot of cases, it has to be, a copy with slight adjustments to their, to the data that is being displayed of that record. record. So now I think this is going to make the whole design process a lot easier and faster, right? And really going to accelerate the time to market.
Yeah, I agree. That's true. And let me cover here what we have new on business rules. So for business rules, as I mentioned, we have two new great types of business rules. So the first one was a business rule we can fill in and populate automatically any value on the page. So for instance, with this business rule, every time where account is changed, I can automatically set an owner value with from a value of account owner. So I can apply multiple different conditions, not only to analyze the fields, but also to analyze the system settings, the system variables, or any attribute in the system. And another great type of business rule is ability to manipulate visibility of any kind of element on the page. So now there is no need for any coding around this area. So all our citizens, developers, business analysts, and all non-tech users can go and manipulate visibility of fields, details, modules, attributes, and tabs on the page with very simple, straightforward business rules. And let me show you how this works in a real section. So now I'm in contact record, and as soon as I change a contact type to a customer, you'll see that maintenance tab automatically will come up here. And the other thing that as soon as I change an account of this page and I'll select, let's say, excellent marketing, and the owner of it is William Workel, it will automatically populate an owner field for a particular record.
Wow, Mike, so it sounds like this is going to really simplify the process of configuring the, kind of a guided data approach for the citizen developers, right? Because they can really tailor the user interface towards the needs of the users, right? And also will simplify some of the tasks of, populating some default values and enriching the UI and the data attributes with some existing values. Is that right?
Yeah.
And Alex, also, if you think about all that versioning that you told us about in the business process, and now that we can control some of the UI elements from the values that you can hopefully calculate in the business process, I mean, it's becoming that apparent that the citizen development is going to be the driving force behind pretty much everything we do in the future.
Yeah, well, this is our strategy, right? To leave the task to professional development only in the most complex integrations and most complex configuration, whilst 99.99% of all the use cases are going to be covered by drag and drop, low code environments, point and click WYSIWYG style of configuration.
It's just nice to see all those things finally coming together, and you're empowering people, really truly empowering businesses.
Now let's proceed, gentlemen.
Yeah, okay, so and on analytics and reporting, so probably one of the most anticipated features of this release in reporting was a pivot and matrix tables. And so now you can build a report that displays metrics like the volume of sales by region for different periods or for different types, and analyze for each sales rep or client in this region. And in general, we try to keep the way of customizing pivot similar to Excel, so it is as convenient for you as possible. And from now on, you not only can create pivot tables, but also you can add a calculated column. So this greatly expands the capabilities of pivot tables. And for instance, you can display not just the plan and fact for sales reps, but also percent of plan completed for each sales rep. And also we worked on dashboard user experience, and it became easier to find desired dashboard and navigate to it. We've also worked on reporting, and we have released a new interface for customizing printable forms. And we've added ability to customize board printables on .NET Core. Okay, so, and it's great because all our users or all Creatio installations, whether it's Windows or Linux, will be able to leverage our reporting feature and set up word printables. Okay, and now let me jump to a live demo, and I'll show you how our pivot tables looks live in the system. All right, and before we jump to pivot tables, I just want to spend some couple of seconds on our dashboard. So those who often work with analytics in the systems are faced with the situation when there are a lot of dashboards, and it's getting harder and harder to navigate among them. So some reports you need once a month, and others you look at a daily basis. So now it's became easier to navigate among them because we've added ability to search through different dashboard tabs. And also now you're able to add a particular tab to favorites. So you will have it at hand on the very left of the screen. All right, and now let's have a look on pivot tables. So pivot tables, on my screen, you can see the pivot table, which represents opportunities by customer need. So here we have different dimensions, and this report is grouped by sales rep and by a customer need here in the rows, and also it is grouped by different opportunity stage. So we can get analysis on various numbers on opportunity amounts for a particular sales rep and particular customer need, and get the aggregated measures here. And let me show you how this looks, the setup page of this pivot table. So as soon as you finished column setup for your regular list dashboard, now you'll have a pivot table settings tab here on the right, and you'll find all the dimensions here, and you can set up how you want to group your columns, how you want to group your rows, and you can simply drag and drop your setup here, and you will immediately see the preview on the right of the screen. And also you can apply different measures, and you can not only calculate amounts, but also you can select between different kind of functions and calculate the count of the opportunities, or the maximum, or the average, or a median value. And so you have more information, more value from your data.
So, Mike, this is a great example of a certain level of consistency that our team is trying to follow when rolling out new functionality and features to our customers, right? Because this new whole area of configuration of reporting and dashboards with pivot tables is basically just extending our standard list design that we had previously, right? And it was rolled out very seamlessly, very gradually to our customers, but is actually bringing a lot of value behind it, because if you already know how to use the list setup, you'll have no problem adopting a new style or a new way of configuring your dashboards.
Also, Michael, it's it's the first time that I'm seeing this dashboard in my life for the first time, and I feel like, having spent a little bit of time in Excel, given the past experiences, I feel right at home here. So I think that no additional training is required. I mean, it's quite obvious what's expected of a user. You just drag and drop, and these are familiar concepts to pretty much anyone who has worked, as you mentioned, with Excel. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Kirill. Yeah, this was the core idea behind all the thing, to make it as much as convenient for users to adopt, not having to go through any documentation. So it should be familiar for any user who tried to set up pivot table in any system.
Excellent, gentlemen. Let's move forward with the remainder of our studio updates.
Yeah, great. So in Studio, I'll cover platform tools, and the first one and great update here is the ability we have added ability and support for OAuth 2.0, which is the industry standard for authorization for integrations. So now it's possible to authorize third-party access to server resources without sharing user credentials, and we provide more security over authorization. And we've have more visibility over what changes were made by regular users on the system and what changes were made by third-party integrations. Also, we believe our partners and marketplace developers will leverage this feature while integrating with Creatio platform. And for administration, we've added new tools for managing file upload rules, and we've added extended information on access rights. So now it's going to be more obvious why a user have a specific access rights. And another great update of the current release is the completely updated UI of the configuration section using Angular. So the new section has a design and structure familiar to any user of our system. And also what's very important, now all the functionality of this section supports .NET Core. So we've introduced a unified register of elements, extended filtering capabilities, and much more. So you'll notice that the new UI is more intuitive and work much faster. So we are confident that this will allow developers to work much more efficiently and deliver new features faster. So let's jump to a live demo and I'll show you the new configuration section. Okay, so on the left of the page, there is a package management panel in which the search has been redesigned, and now it is so now you can easily distinguish between editable and non-editable elements based on the caller. Okay, so and the sorting logic was revised, and we have several levels, so you will always have the most relevant packages at your hand. And in the center of the page, we have a unified list of all section elements, and so instead of having multiple tabs to go through SQL scripts or schemas or business processes, now we have a single unified list of elements, and we have very handy tool for searching. So you can, if you need only client modules, you can simply go and click here. If you want to have a business processes, so you can simply navigate through this menu. And aside from a configuration section itself, all configuration editors of previous generation received a new interface. So if I go to, let's say, a module code editor, it received a large area for source code editing, a syntax highlight, and we have a syntax validation here. So if you have end up in any issue and you have any errors in your code, you will be able to fix it right away from here and find information on what happened. Also, we've added here a structural search, so it's going to be pretty easy for you to find any elements of the page. Oh, sorry.
Well, Mike, this is a really exciting point of the update and the release, right? I know that all of our customers and partners were really waiting for this new UI for the configuration section and for the inbuilt IDE, even though it is not oftenly used, right? But I know that everybody was looking to finally get the new shiny UI on this part of the system.
Yeah, you're right. So now we have all the capabilities of built-in IDE tools right away here, and they're fast. So I will suggest go and try and write some code in our inbuilt designers. So they're great. Last but not least, we've also significantly reworked the data binding tool. And we replaced a complex advanced filtering by very intuitive logic of selecting records from the list. Okay, so now if you need to bind any data to a package, you can simply go in this new designer and select all the values that you need, and that's it. So you don't need to add any complex filtering capabilities. In the very same manner, you'll apply what kind of columns you want to add to your data binding, and that's it. So now I believe it's much easier to configure data bindings, and the process should take even less time than before.
Thank you, Mike, for this demo. Let's move forward to discussing more of the 7.17 low-code enhancements, and we'll hand off to our next speaker, Alex.
Thanks, Corey. And I'm also very excited to talk about AI and ML capabilities in Creatio, where I would like to remind our audience that within the previous version that we were releasing, we have introduced a new type of data prediction based on our recommendation system that allows us to generate such data predictions for next best offer or next best action. And I'm happy to announce that within the version 7.17, we have also included additional functionality empowering our out-of-the-box capability to predict next best offer and actions for accounts, contacts, and opportunities based on those types of customers, right? So this is now going to be added to the out-of-the-box solution, and all of our customers who are going to be updating or subscribing with version 7.17 will have the option to use our out-of-the-box models that were built by our team. And also another point of the functionality that was released to the version 7.17 is also covering the updates to the mobile application, where now we are introducing a whole new separate dedicated section for approvals that allows us to, on the mobile device, whether this is a phone or a tablet, to actually see all of the pending approvals from the current user and take action then with just very simple, intuitive swipes right and left. Right. And of course, this is going to be introduced to all of the products of Creatio, whether this is going to be based on marketing, sales, or service approvals, or if this is going to cover some of the custom build applications, such as request management or any other that might be running on top of our platform. And again, this is all going to be brought by our low-code environment. This can be all easily configured with the help of our low-code platform, with the help of our business process management engine, and of course, all of the great other tools that we are introducing and are having on our system.
Excellent. Mike, Alex, thank you so much for sharing these low-code updates on Creatio 7.17 enhancements. These were such important enhancements to cover, given that the our Accelerate event is focused on how to become a low-code company. Let's focus in on some of these questions that we've received from the audience now. Our first question is, I really want to start using machine learning. However, I don't have data to train the models on. What can I do?
So the idea here is that you can actually you can start using the data that you already have on your system to start using some of the machine learning model capabilities for classification, regression, or scoring, or even recommendations, right? But then make sure that you're retraining your model each time, or every couple of weeks when you get more data in, so that the predictions are becoming more and more accurate and they bring more value to the end users who are going to be using that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alex. Our next
Absolutely.
question is, when you create a new edit page for typed pages, do you copy the business logic or just the fields?
Yeah, so you definitely copy the fields and the business logic. So basically, after when a user copied a page, he'll have two identical pages, and now they can he can support them separately using all our low-code tools, our business rules, etc. So, yeah.
Excellent. And last question, and this is a very important one. Do you think our citizen developers will need training to deep dive into these enhancements?
No, I think these are all pretty straightforward features, and users are gonna be able to go and use them directly. But in case if anyone ends up in any troubles, we have all the documentation on our academy available for them.
Great. Let's proceed, gentlemen, with our next section and our next Creatio superpower. I'm going to hand off to Kirill Krylov, our technical trainer, to cover our unified CRM.
All right, thank you, Corey. I'm finally happy to speak a little bit about the Creatio here. I mean, the guys did an excellent job covering all the other features. So now I would like to talk about some of the enhancements in the CRM, and we're going to start off by talking about marketing. So in marketing, we're releasing two new features, the big ones. So the first feature that I would like to talk to you about is the new and improved engine that allows us to track the leads through your website. For example, namely, I would like to name a few things. Number one, you can now group things together. So imagine you have presence somewhere on the online store, or you might be available somewhere on the social networks, or perhaps in some other professional networks. And all these online presences, they generate traffic. Previously, you would be tracking them one by one, but now with the release of 7.17, you can group them together, you can aggregate this data together, and you can derive better analytics from it. So the new marketing engine we built on the experience that we have learned from the previous releases, and now it's a brand new engine. It lives out in the cloud, and it allows for a much greater throughput of your data. The data will flow into your system much faster. You will see it immediately, and it provides for richer events to be tracked on your website. The next release, or the next feature that I would like to point out, is the fact that we are now able to communicate not just with contacts on the email marketing, but we can also introduce other objects, things like contacts or event participants or those who purchase something from you. So that's a big improvement for us. We're also introducing SendGrid as our new email service provider, and that's great for everyone who wants to use them. The next thing I would like to talk about is the sales. In sales, we're continuing to build on already a great tool, and we're working to enhance the abilities of our forecast module. Our forecast module now supports some of the exciting functions. For example, you can now schedule to recalculate these forecasts automatically. For example, every hour, every day, or twice a day, whatever the schedule you want it to be. You can also specify the hierarchy of your reporting, and on the right-hand side, one of the UI improvements is the fact that you can actually pin your total, and you no longer have to scroll from left to right. So the experience is getting greater and greater with every release. In the service, we're introducing a richer omni-channel communication panel. So now what you will see on for the first time on the right-hand side is you're able to send messages to whatever the omni-channel channels you want to send them to. So for example, it could be a Facebook Facebook page, or it could be some other channel. It doesn't matter. We can now handle it in one central location. We can start business processes from it. We can save this data, etc. Okay, and now the financial services. In financial services and across all the other products, we have introduced Who Knows Whom new matrix. So this matrix allows you to express very complex relationships between people, entities, accounts, contacts, etc. This new matrix has no limitation in terms of the amount of people that you can express, and we can support very complicated relationships. Just like you used to expressing the relationship between, let's say, the employee and the employer, you can now express those relationships on a much, much richer level. We have also introduced the option to package our product catalog and bind it together and move it from place to place. That goes a little bit into what we have done with the data binding that we have previously discussed, but now it's a much nicer experience, a much easier experience, a lot more straightforward. And now let's jump into live demo, and I would like to show you some of these features live. Okay, so I would like to start by looking at what we have done in the marketing. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how we have improved our email, our bulk email. So let's jump into marketing and go into the email section. In the email, let's just grab some random email, and let's take a look how we can work with the audience. Previously, you could only send to contact, but now if you switch to the audience and click on the plus button, you will see that you can add contacts, leads, event participants, or you can even manage your own objects, which means that if you have designed something, if you've built your own application, you can now use the bulk email to send emails to those entities that somehow refer to an email. So that's a great improvement for us. Now let's take a look at the section or at the contact for whom we're expecting to have some website events. Let's take a look at Alexander Wilson, and we can navigate to his website events. In here, you will see a list of all the events that we have captured through the external website. If you expand an event, and this, by the way, a brand new interface that's been with Angular that Michael has been alluding to before, and you can see that you've got some page URLs, you've got the refer, you've got the events, and you can add some additional information, things such as cost, and do some custom events. So this information is now aggregated in a very convenient way. The throughput is significantly improved, and overall, it's just a much better experience. Let's now go into sales and take a look at the enhancement in the forecast module. We're going to go to sales. We're going to find forecast. This might look familiar. This is exactly the same forecast that you might be familiar with. And let's take a look at some of the options that have been added for us. Let's go into pencil, And in here, we have an option to automatically calculate this forecast. If you check it, then every 30 minutes on the day, it will be calculated. You can change this schedule to be, let's say, every 45 minutes or every 1 hour, whatever is convenient for you. You can also set up some hierarchy here or change the existing hierarchy. On the right-hand side, you will see that I have the pin. For example, if I unpin something, you can scroll from left to right. But if you pin this option, then it will stay on the right-hand side, and then the only middle part will scroll. The other very requested feature was the ability to add multiple accounts at once. I can add, and now you can see that you can add multiple accounts. You can also go under Actions and click Select All to add all accounts. This is a great feature for those who constantly create these forecasts. Now, the other option, and that's not something that's fully discovered by all the people yet, is that you can actually use forecasts for other features, not just for sales or invoices or orders, but you can track other components. And that would be great for anyone who's trying to stay organized, for example. And now let's take a look at the who knows who matrix, how we can leverage that to express some of the complex relationships. Let's go to Alexander Wilson, for example, and let's navigate to Connected To tab. The Alex is going to be the only person visible here on the contact to, and I would like to add a relationship to, let's say, to an account. All I have to do is click on the plus, choose account, choose the relationship between Alex and that new account, and choose the account itself. So for example, Alpha Business. Click anywhere and you will be able to add the relationship. You can also go and add additional relationships by clicking on the plus button and obviously expressing the relationship to other people, other contacts, or other accounts, or you can define your own relationships. All right, let's take a look at service now. And now let's take a look at how the new service omnichannel window works. So for that, what I'm going to do is navigate to the website, navigate to my Facebook, or not mine, but to the business page that I have pre-configured. And I'm going to send a message. Now the message is going to be simple hello. And what I expect to happen is that in the system, we will see a notification panel. Once I activate myself as an available agent, I can see that there is a chat message. What I can do with the chat is I can take it, I can ignore it, but I probably want to take it. So I'll click on the accept chat. At this point, you can employ some rules for intelligent routing. You can create some marketing leads. You can create service cases. You can create whatever you want at this point. But what I want to show you is simply a reply. You can reply with a picture by just simply attaching it, and you send the file or you send the message back. Now, as soon as you do that, the customer who requested a communication with you will receive the feedback. And once you're done talking to them, all you need to do is just simply finish the chat. Triple dot, complete the chat. And once the chat is completed, we can go to a list of completed chats. All your chats will be stored in the chat session of the service module. So if we jump into service real quick and take a look at your chats, they're all going to be stored right here. So that's it for all the improvements that I wanted to talk about. And back to you, Corey.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kirill, for this great demo.
Thank you.
Now let's move forward and answer some of our audience's questions about our new 7.17 enhancements on the CRM. Our first question is, if I want to route, say, a Facebook message to marketing instead of service, do I need to have both licenses? How does that work?
Well, no, that's a great thing about it. The licensing is not going to be a roadblock for you. This whole omnichannel communication option is implemented on the very core of our platform, so it's available to every user. As long as you can log on to Creatio, you can use these features. So if you get them in marketing, you can route them to service, vice versa. The world is yours, basically.
Excellent. Will there be an option to extend messaging functionality through APIs? And I think you touched on this, but maybe we can just clarify that to the audience.
Yes, absolutely. There will be an option to extend. There will be an option to build on, to add your own logic as a citizen developer or as a professional developer. You will be able to extend all of this functionality later.
Great. Thanks, Kirill. And our next question, how can I benefit from the financial features release?
Well, the financial features, if you're talking about, I assume we're talking about the forecast. So the forecasting ability to take any object and actually turn it into a forecast, and you're basically saying, I promise to do A, and then you follow up on your promise and you see how well you're progressing. I think anyone can benefit, and it doesn't have to be just the finance people. It doesn't have to be just the sales professional. It can be any person. So the forecasting is great. Also for finance, what we looked at these matrix to express these complicated relationships. Usually in finance, you will benefit once you can understand a little bit better who knows whom in that particular sector. So I think those are great releases that will benefit our users.
Great. And our last question, Carol, I think this is a great one. How do you foresee sales representative performance improving as a result of some of these new enhancements that you just discussed?
Well, some of these features, they're a real pleasure to work with. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with something that's fast, that's reliable, that's easy to use? If you look at the pivot tables and the matrix tables that we talked about earlier, and you complement it with the sales forecast, or you complement it with just a forecast, I mean, it becomes a great tool for you to stay on track and to be a more productive professional. So I think everyone will benefit from it.
Definitely. Thank you so much for answering these questions, Kirill. Thank you so much to Alex, Mike, and Kirill for walking through the 7.17 enhancements. These are going to be very valuable for many of our users. And while I still have the audience on today, one of the things that I want to talk about is our Creatio Marketplace. And these are the extensions available on Marketplace that accelerate the time to value of Creatio with ready-made applications, connectors, and templates. We'd like to emphasize that our core product offerings are enhanced by a continuously growing number of pre-built applications. And our large network of partners are always enhancing and creating new applications to meet the various business needs and expectations of our global user community. We'd also like to highlight that over 55% of our users are currently leveraging some of these templates. So that really speaks to the value that is derived from these marketplace applications. They really do have significant business value, which is why most of our users have explored these on our marketplace. We offer additional training and support through Creatio Academy. This is made available with documentation, with training, with certifications and testing. And many of these guided opportunities that are offered are firsthand virtual assistants on Creatio Academy. So again, these are very easy to use tools that, that my colleagues have talked about today, but we do offer the documentation necessary should it be a requirement or something that our users would like to have at their hands. We also offer Creatio Community, and a community is a Creatio-specific social media type platform where users can post questions to other users, post tips and tricks, and share experience about using Creatio. This is a really great way for them to share ideas and learn ways to leverage specific capabilities on Creatio's platform by just simple communication on this user community. And we create this forum where users can really learn from each other and engage. We also want to emphasize our low-code application development courses. To grow the number of professionals with expertise in low-code development on Creatio's platform, Creatio promotes and supports free low-code application development courses for university students and professors around the world. This is how we plan to grow our community of citizen and professional developers who build their solution on Creatio's platform. We also have a new course that is offered on Udemy. It is an 8-hour, 8-module course that trains you on how to be a low-code developer on Creatio's platform. And finally, we want to encourage everyone to try Creatio for free. Available on Creatio.com is a 14-day free trial of our full suite of products, sales, service, marketing, and studio. One of the things I would also like to emphasize is that the enhancements that we talked about today on Creatio 7.17 are available on this 14-day free trial. So it's an excellent way for you to put these enhancements to test and see what you can do for yourself using the Creatio platform and these new 7.17 enhancements. So I want to thank our global community for joining us today, for joining us for Accelerate Global, and for joining my colleagues, Mike, Alex, and Kirill, as we talk about the 7.17 enhancements. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your thoughtful descriptions of the 7.17 enhancements and your excellent product demonstrations.
Thank you, Kirill, and thank you all for your time today. Hope you enjoy your Accelerate Global.
Thank you.